our bridal show. We've been planning this for 3 years, believe it or not.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah. We had planned this in 2020, and we all know what happened then. And then, so last year looked like things were better, so we planned it for 2021, and then COVID came back again. So this year we were hoping we'd be able to get through it, and we have. So thank you for coming. We really, really appreciate it. We're excited to have you here. Our last bridal show was about 35 years ago, so we are kind of way overdue for another one. Many of the dresses today are vintage and are very fragile, so some we just couldn't wear them. We will show them to you. Most, however, will be modeled. We have 54 dresses we're doing. Now, on with the show. As each decade is presented, I will share some interesting and unique information about weddings and bridal fashions of that time period. As we have dresses from as far back as the early 1900s, let's travel back in time to discover some of the history and traditions. As the 1900s were the beginning of a new century, clothing was changing from Victorian to Edwardian. White was becoming the color to wear for weddings. Previously, it had been black, brown, or blue. Dresses were usually adorned with silk and lace. Sleeves were puffy and long, which tapered to the forearm. Popular flowers were orange blossoms, white roses, lily of the valley, and white orchids. The groom was expected to pay for the flowers. Popular songs for weddings of this era included "Oh Promise Me" and "You Are My Sunshine." Our first dress is carried by Brissa. This came from 1905 from the wedding of Bessie Crow when she married Colby Augusta Slough. That would be my great-grandmother. Great-grandmother, yes. As you can imagine, this dress is extremely fragile, so we will not model it. It's actually a three-piece dress, and it was handmade by the bride's mother. It has a separate skirt and a separate heavy petticoat underneath. The top has a high neck collar banded with lace, and the top closes in the back with pearl buttons. Can you show them the back? Mm-hmm. The skirt has several layers extending to the calf-length hemline. I modeled this dress when I was in 7th grade, and yes, I was much smaller then. And it was pretty tight on me in 7th grade, so you can imagine how tiny Bessie was. Thank you. Let's move forward to the 1910s. This is the beginning of the time of the New Woman, when equal rights and suffragette movements were the rage. Dresses were often tight and long with heavy beading. In addition to brides wearing white, bridesmaids were wearing white as well, including wearing veils. As cars were becoming more dependable, longer distance honeymoons became fashionable. Gloves began disappearing. Popular wedding songs were the Wedding Glide and Abba Dabba Honeymoon. Our next dress is carried by Tricia. Here we are showing a vintage wedding dress worn by Lila Swaim when she married Svigvart Peterson in 1915. This delicate dress has elbow-length sleeves and is ankle-length. The shoulders are capped with sheer fabric enhanced with leaf patterns, and the sleeves have lace sheared ends. The insert on the neckline has beads arranged in a floral pattern and is surrounded by a ribbon inset with pearls and capped with 2 beaded tassels. A satin ribbon encircles the waist and mimics a bow in the back. The skirt has a satin-like fabric underskirt covered with a sheer floral overskirt. These floral designs look like cascading vines of flowers ending in a layer of lace at the bottom of the dress. Our next dress is modeled by Emma. This dress from 1918 has 3/4 length sleeves with a high-necked collar. Due to the sheerness of the cotton fabric, an underslip or crinoline would be worn with it. The bodice features eyelet fabric with floral cutouts. The natural waist is banded with a floral belt. The skirt has a tier on the bottom which begins near the knee with eyelet floral cutouts and repeated teardrop flowers. We would like to thank the Osseo Fairchild Drama Department for letting us borrow this dress. Thank you, Emma. In the 1920s, weddings became much more informal, as this was the Roaring '20s. Eloping and using a justice of the peace were used more often than a minister. As Prohibition came into effect, many weddings began serving punch, which was often spiked with bathtub gin. Hemlines and hairdos shortened while waistlines of the flapper fashion made their appearance. Engagement rings began to be matched with the wedding band, which was changing from gold to white gold or platinum. We first began to see bridal registries being used. Popular wedding songs were "It Had to Be You" and "Someone to Watch Over Me." Our next dress is modeled by Bridal. This 1920s flapper style dress is also borrowed from the Osseo Fairchild Drama Department. This chiffon dress has a V-neck with an attached cape as part of the collar. It has shirred gatherings at both sides, the front, and back on the waist. This knee-length dress was a common style of the era, with a shorter front and slightly longer back. The dress itself is almost see-through, so a chemise or underslip would be worn with this. Thank you, Briley. By the 1930s, the Great Depression was having a big effect on weddings. Marriage rates were down by 22%. Proposals were delayed, but not denied. Brides on a budget often repurposed dresses they'd already owned to serve as their wedding gowns. Often this was a white Sunday dress that could be re-dyed later to be reused. Hats were popular for both sides of the wedding party. Cakes were often decorated with flowers, and rayon dresses began to make their appearance. "Night and Day" and "Cheek to Cheek" were popular songs for weddings. Next, we have Trisha carrying on one of our very fragile gowns. This is the wedding dress of Clara Schaefer when she married Harvey Hammer in 1938. This full-length gown was made of white brocade chiffon in burned-out velvet with a full-length tulle veil made coronation style. The cathedral train can either extend behind the dress or be draped over the feet, as it was often displayed in pictures. Look for a picture of this downstairs on the table. Long sleeves, an empire waist, and a Peter Pan collar all accent this dress, in addition to fabric-covered buttons on the back. The veil, which is on display downstairs, has a heavily beaded crown with a lace center. Make sure you look for it. It's very fragile and it's sitting on a head bust. It's kind of a neat one. Thank you, Tricia. Were worn by Marion Knutson when she married Carlid Nelson at the Foggerness Lutheran Church of Blair on June 11, 1938. That would be Roseanne Thompson's parents. As this dress is very fragile, we will again show it, but not model it. The bride chose an embroidered lace marquisette in a peach shade, which is unusual. The dress has a fitted bodice and short sleeves and a full floor-length skirt. Her long white veil was worn in a cap effect, and her sandals were silver. She carried an arm bouquet of talisman roses and baby's breath. She wore a 3-strand pearl necklace and bracelet. She chose to wear a peach wedding dress because her sisters told her that white wouldn't look good with her dark complexion and dark hair. So maybe the sisters were trying a little something on her there, who knows? Thank you. Thank you, Jan. The 1940s brought wartime, which led to rationings and little money spending on a wedding. If a groom's deployment came up, a wedding announcement might go out at the beginning of the week with a wedding at the end of the week. Dresses were simple and reusable, featuring gathered sleeves and padded hips. Red lipstick and pinned curls were common. Men increasingly began to wear wedding bands as a symbol of commitment, even when serving abroad in the war effort. Some grooms were lucky enough to get access to a parachute, which was then sent home for a future bride to craft into a beautiful wedding dress. Songs of this decade included "For Sentimental Reasons" and "Shoo Shoo Baby." Emma? Emma is wearing our next dress. On June 14, 1942, Jeanette Johnson married Vernon Nean in an outdoor wedding at her family's home in Beaches Corners. And this would be Emma's grandparents? Great-grandparent, great-grandma's dress. Okay? Here we see her beautiful long-sleeve dress of white silk marquisette. The neckline of this dress is square-shaped with a lace-gathered insert. The cuffs of this dress are in lace, which complements the lace inserts down the front and back of this dress. It has a chapel-length train with lace insertions from neckline to hem. Underneath is a satin underdress, which is visible through the lace inserts. Thank you, Emma. Our next dress is going to be carried by Brissa. This mid-1940s dress was borrowed from the Oscar Fairchild Drama Department. The dress features long lace sleeves with a lace-covered bodice. Again, this dress we could have modeled, but it was so tiny we couldn't model it. And then maybe floof out the train a little bit. Okay? Okay. For modesty, sheer fabric covered the décolletage. The satin underskirt was covered by a soft layer of sheer fabric with slight gatherings all around. Be sure to note on the back, when you turn it around, the 26 fabric-covered buttons that needed to be fastened to close the dress. And we couldn't even close it on the dress form, so you know. In addition, this dress features a longer train, which was coming into fashion. And then you're going to put that over there, right?
Yep.
Okay. And here we have, is Emma ready with our next one? No? Okay, then we'll go to Donna and I'll come back. Donna's modeling our next dress. In 1948, this dress was worn by Phyllis Rasmussen, which would be Barb Fisher's mother, for her wedding. This long-sleeved satin brocade dress features a scalloped insert at the neck. I'm going to poof you a little bit. Okay. Where's my release? Notice the long buttoned cuffs on each wrist. This dress has a chapel-length train and side zipper. The dress was believed to have been purchased or altered at the Emporium store in St. Paul. The veil featured a pearlized flower headband with tulle. And this veil was worn 29 years later by Phyllis's daughter Barb for her wedding, and we will see it with Barb's dress. Thank you, Donna. Next we have Emma. This mid-1940s dress was given to us by Barb Howard. It has an ivory satin underlayment followed by 2 layers of tulle. This is Dave Lingen, Emma's father, so I think he's kind of getting the hang of this. Maybe he'll be doing it in a few years. This dress features long lace sleeves and a lace-covered bodice. Oh, I'm not getting the right one here. Okay, it features a drop waistline with the bodice covered by a sheer lace overlayment. It has a lace Peter Pan collar and long sheer lace sleeves. You turn around to the back, Emma. Notice the 30 satin covered buttons down the back. Thank you. And turn around. This would be a modern day size 4 or 5. This 1950s dress, which I think is very unique, is in ivory satin with metallic lace overlays. It features a fitted bodice and has a matching bolero and a horsehair underskirt. Can you slip the jacket off so they can see it? Okay, there you go. Notice the satin bow at the natural waist, and then put the jacket back on, at the neck of the bolero. And the satin bow also matches the bow at the neck of the bolero, so the two bows match each other there. This dress comes to us from Barb Howard. Are we having fun? Are you noticing how tiny the waists are? I know, we were absolutely amazed at this. Okay, here we have Emma. Poor thing, she's just running herself crazy back there. Come on out, Emma. This one should look familiar to some of you. This late 1940s dress looks very much like the dress worn by Kate Middleton when she married Prince William. Yeah. It features 3 underskirts. The first is an ivory satin underskirt, followed by a ruffled tulle underskirt, and then a solid tulle underskirt. The body of the dress is ivory chantilly lace, and it has a Bo Peep front. This allows the tulle to be visible in the lower portions of the dress. It features a drop waistline with a fitted bodice, sheer chantilly lace sleeves and neckline, and an opalescent sequin and ivory pearl embellished collar. It does have a metal back zipper, which is nice, and would be a modern day size 1 or 2. The 1950s brought a return to normal. More elaborate and formal weddings came back into fashion. Correct formal attire was expected for everyone in the wedding party. Renting of wedding clothing became available for men. Bridal necklines were either high collar or sweetheart, while dress lengths were T-length or ballerina. Sleeves were long lace or capped off the shoulder. Cake toppers came into fashion in this decade. Many brides carried Bible sprays as their bouquets, which were small prayer books decorated with flowers. And as life was returning to normal, soldiers were coming home, and wedding rates reached an all-time high. Decades-old traditions were revived, including hand gloves, fancy dresses, and lavish church ceremonies. Songs for this decade included You Send Me and Unforgettable. Okay, I have Brenna and Maggie coming up now. This next dress was worn by Frances Marion Hagen Nelson. When she married Lyman Hagen in a candlelight ceremony here at Elk Creek on October 4th, 1952. That will work. You stay there for right now, okay? All right. Fran's dress is made of ivory satin. The high-waisted bodice was fashioned with chantilly lace. The pleated skirt was extended with a long cathedral train. Her veil fell from a sweetheart bonnet decorated with pearlized orange blossoms centered with rhinestones. She had a longer veil, but unfortunately that veil did not survive. But we do have the 2 smaller veils with this. Notice that gloves in her hands. You might want to, if you get a chance, feel those. They're calf leather and they are so soft. We can't really figure out when she wore the gloves because not in any pictures, and they don't really go over that dress, but it was with the bridal stuff, so we thought we'd show them to you. Next we have Maggie, who is wearing the Flower Girl dress. She's showing, not wearing, sorry. Again, really tiny. This is in a golden sun taffeta. This was worn by Pat Nelson Comroe at the Nelson Hagen wedding. And Pat is here today. Raise your hand there, Pat. She had that, yeah. She was about 5 years old at the time. Notice it features a pleated skirt, dolman sleeves, and a braided cap. Maggie's wearing that on her head. And she was one of the 2 flower girls for that wedding. Thank you, ladies. Our next dress is modeled by Donna. It comes from 1956 from Irene Meyer when she married Norman Jandrett at the Sacred Heart Catholic Church on October 27th in Edson, Wisconsin. This long-sleeve chantilly lace dress features floral designs over the entire dress. It has a taffeta underskirt covered with a layer of tulle and is then topped with chantilly lace. The neckline of the dress is Queen Anne style with stays on the collarbone. The sleeves come to a V at the cuff, which has 6 fabric-covered buttons. Speaking of buttons, notice the back of the dress with its 38 covered buttons and loops. No getting out of this dress quickly. The bustle has 6 layers of ruffles alternating between Chantilly lace and tulle. Small pieces of this wedding dress were cut and given to grandchildren in memory of their grandmother. So a small section of lace was sacrificed for that, but what a wonderful remembrance. Thank you, Donna. Our next dress will be carried in by Brissa. It's on one of our dress forms. On June 1st, 1957, Barb Lau married Gerald Nelson at St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Foster. And Barb is here today. Barb, raise your hand. Yep, there she is. Just put it down there on the floor. She'll just hold it up here. That's fine. Barb wore this lace-covered floor-length white dress with long lace sleeves and a boat neckline. The dress was made by her mother, Agnes Lau. Barbara wore a Juliet cap with a waist-length white veil, which has not survived, and carried a bridal spray of irises with white Canterbury bell flowers on top of her white Bible. Barb's mother, Agnes, was very busy that year because in addition to sewing Barb's wedding dress and the 2 bridesmaids' dresses for the wedding, she also made her daughter Carol's wedding dress and the bridesmaids' dresses for those weddings as well. Yep, thank you. On November 28, 1959, Joanne Nelson married Martin Matchey at St. Peter and Paul's Catholic Church, Independence. Joanne is the sister of Roseanne Thompson, who wore this flower girl dress in the wedding, and she was 4 years old at the time. Maggie's a little older, so it's a little snug on her, but she's a good sport. This was a floor-length white nylon net over taffeta dress, and it has a matching headband piece. Notice the fingerless sleeve cuffs. Show those up. Yep, so the fingerless, cuffs that she wore as she carried a basket of bronze and yellow pom-poms. Roseanne tells us she was scared to death, and partway through the ceremony, she decided to go sit with her mom. She'd had enough. Thank you, Maggie. The 1960s saw definite splits between traditional brides and brides with a more free spirit. Traditional brides commonly opted for church ceremonies. Dresses were often A-line or column-like silhouettes featuring an ampere waist. Pillbox hats and flyaway veils were the common choices for headpieces. The free spirit bride looked to modern stylings for their wedding attire. Mini skirts, go-go boots, and leather could often be found on these brides. Outdoor weddings were also popular. Due to the hippie movement, the daisy became the flower of choice for many brides. And Can't Help Falling in Love and The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face were popular at weddings now. Okay? There we go. Turn around and then floof it good. There we go. On August 5th, 1961, Audrey Swam and Ronald Harnish were united in marriage at the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Pigeon Falls. They would be Barb Howard's parents. This floor-length dress, purchased at Samuelson's, remember Samuelson's in Eau Claire? It was purchased for $44.98. It features Chantilly lace over taffeta, and it has a fitted bodice and short sleeves. The full skirt is accentuated with ruffled tiers to the hemline. A full pearl and sequin crown, purchased for $14.95, held the imported silk illusion veil, but unfortunately it has not survived. Well, no, it has survived. It's in a later wedding dress. Audrey's granddaughter wore that same crown for her wedding in 2020, and we will be seeing it later. Audrey's mother made the bridesmaid and flower girl dresses. And speaking of our flower girl dress, okay, so the one you're looking at here is the one she's carrying, okay? Ignore the other one for right now, okay? Our flower girl dress features a taffeta underskirt with a nylon flowered dress over the top. It has short cap sleeves with lace accents and features a blue taffeta sash and buttons up the back. On a side note, as the wedding party was lined up to process into the church, Audrey noticed that her mother still had her barn shoes on. The race was on to get her dress shoes on before heading down the aisle. The groomsmen were busy at this wedding as well. They jacked up the honeymoon car and filled the manifold with Limburger cheese, which made for a pretty stinky honeymoon. Thank you, ladies. On September 21st, 1963, Janet Bergerson and Dave Berg were united in marriage at Upper Pigeon Creek in Northfield. Here we have Jan's beautiful dress with a V waist and long lace sleeves with lace appliques. And turn around and floof. Good. The lace-covered bodice is accented with seed pearls. The bottom third of the hoop skirt is covered with 3 layers of delicate lace with additional lace appliques. Jan bought the dress at Edwin's and Eau Claire for under $50. Jan didn't feel they should go into Edwin's, as she felt they weren't the clientele they were used to. But Jan's mother said they could look because the dresses were so nice. On a side note, David, her husband, forgot the wedding band at home on the refrigerator. So they had to use her sister-in-law's wedding band for the wedding and pictures. Remember, the reception was held here in the church basement. Now remember this dress, as we will see a near replica of it later in the show. The bridesmaid's dress we see here was worn at Jan's wedding by Shirley Bergerson for this wedding. She was 10 years old at the time. The dress is made of satin with a lace waistline. In addition, small embroidered loops adorn the collar and the hemline. Thank you, ladies. Next we have Donna wearing Rosemary Jacobson's dress. Rosemary married Jerry Schmidt in marriage here at Elk Creek on September 27th, 1969. There we go. Rosemary's dress is a long-sleeve satin dress with lace and sequin appliques. It has a chapel-length train and is high-waisted. Her veil is a mid-shoulder length and is made of tulle with a flower-shaped headpiece. Rosemary had ordered a dress for her wedding, but it never arrived. About a week before the wedding, I can't imagine waiting till a week before the wedding, she went shopping and was able to pick out a sample dress that fortunately needed no alteration, so everything worked out great. This is that sample dress. Quite lovely. Thank you, Donna. In 1966, Janelle Garris and Billy Johnson were married here at Elk Creek on April 15th. She said tax day made it unforgettable. The column silhouette of this dress was very common for the era. Janelle got this dress on sale at Edwin's for $20. This was after she had tried on more traditional bell-shaped dresses and felt like a mushroom due to her short stature, and that's how tall Janelle is. And this dress is actually a little short on Briley, so Janelle's very, very small. This dress features 3/4 length straight sleeves with leaf appliques around the waist. The dress is made of acetate with a chapel-length train. Can you turn so they can see your train? Turn around. Janelle remembers Billy was late for the wedding, but she married him anyway. She chose to be married in our church because her home church was busy, and this led to her becoming a member here, for which we are eternally grateful. Thank you. On August 15, 1970, Kay Halverson married James Nelson at First Lutheran Church of Onalaska. The bride wore a floor-length Empire gown of Sorrento styled with puffed organza sleeves and Italian lace. Her dress, which was sewn by her mother, had a pleated chapel train, and Kay is here today. Where are you, Kay? Yep, right there, taking pictures, good. Kay carried white gladioli with orange and red accents. Her shoulder-length veil fell from an Italian lace-edged pillbox hat. Her attendants were in column-style dresses in rainbow colors, as was very popular at this time. Thank you very much, Aubrey. On November 9th, 1968, Stephanie Beatty and Roger Rumstick were united in marriage at Zion Lutheran Church in Blair. Oh, go ahead and get it on. Go ahead and get the veil on. That's okay. We'll wait. Okay, you're just going to carry it? Okay. This sheer organza over taffeta floor-length gown was fashioned with long puff sleeves accented by a deep cuff. Yep. There we go. Pois-d'Ange lace adorned the portrait neckline, complementing the Empire bodice, extending the A-line skirt. A detachable watteau swept to a chapel-length train. Her bouffant veil, can you hold that up, of sheer illusion was secured to a cluster of pearl-embellished lace petals. Stephanie carried rust mums and wheat for her bouquet. She bought the dress at Edmonds in Eau Claire, and she shared that she was supposed to be walked down the aisle by her stepfather, who unfortunately was suffering from nosebleeds the week of the wedding, so you can imagine that didn't go big. So she grabbed her terrified brother to stand in should the need arise. But fortunately, everything worked out, and her stepfather was able to walk her down the aisle. Downstairs, you will find a silver-plated coffee pot from the early 1900s, which is a gift from Stephanie's grandfather to his wife and mother, and this was later used at Stephanie's wedding. Thank you, Emma. Did that one. Now we're up to the 70s, I think, right? The waning hippie movement, rock and roll, and disco were all influences of the 70s. Yeah. Grooms began joining brides in wearing white for the wedding. Naturally decorated headdresses and hats were common, as were outdoor ceremonies. Free spirits could often be found walking down the aisle barefoot or with flowers in their hair. Garden weddings were made popular by the wedding of Tricia Nixon in the White House Rose Gardens. DJs became the choice for many weddings in this decade. Gowns ranged from hippie frocks to fairy tale princess gowns to pantsuits to punk-influenced dresses. Songs you might have heard at a wedding in the 70s included "You Are the Sunshine of My Life" and "Wonderful Tonight." Here we see Donna wearing Mary Vold Gunderson's dress. Mary Vold's here. Where are you, Mary? Yep, there we go. On October 9, 1971, Mary Vold married Robert Gunderson. This dress was made by Mary's sister, Virginia Kittleson, in an afternoon wedding here at Elk Creek, with a reception following in the church basement. Later that evening, they hosted a dance at the Cabin in the Pines. Mary's long-sleeved Juliet dress is made of polyester and features a high-necked lace-edged collar. Lace also encircles the bodice, which is connected to the lace collar. Lace adorns the hem of the dress, too. The sleeves are mutton-topped on the shoulders, which then become form-fitting to the lace cuff. One of the nicest features of this dress, according to Mary, is that it is washable. And according to her, it has been washed several times. I know she washed it several times trying to get it ready for this. Thank you very much. On August 6, 1977, Barb McEwen and Tim Fisher were married at St. Stephen's Lutheran Church in St. Paul. Her dress is a long-sleeved with fitted cuffs. Okay.
I'll just poof you a little bit.
I know. Okay. Lost my place. Oh, here we go. Ivory roses, blue stephanotis, and baby's breath with trailing vines. The dress was made by Mrs. Peter Lisowski of Arcadia, and she didn't even have a pattern to follow. She was able to make the dress from a sketch and a description provided by Barb. The whole thing cost less than $100. Barb's veil was previously worn by her mother's wedding in 1948. Remember I said there was a veil coming? This is it. We saw that dress previously. Barb just added new tulle to the veil. So this was her mother's veil. Thank you, Brenna. Linda Wood wore this dress in her marriage to William Jared Mortensen on November 11, 1978. That would be Lindsay Mortensen Nelson's mother. Okay, and we will see Lindsay's dress as well later in the show. Okay. This wedding took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The antique cream dress is a vintage polyester crepe. It has a long train and is in the princess style. It is trimmed with floral lace and has a higher neckline, which is sheer with lace appliques surrounding it, the bodice, and the sleeve cuffs. Thank you, Aubrey. Our next dress, donated by Barb Howard, comes from the late 1970s. This is a J.C. Penney wedding gown. And is an imitation of a Gunny Sacks dress, so it's kind of neat. I think this would be a wonderful prom homecoming dress. You know, what little girl wouldn't want to wear that, right? Okay. The dress is 100% polyester lace, and the lining is 100% acetate. It is a vintage size 9-10, which today would be a 5-6. So we're not getting fatter, they just are making the dresses smaller. It has a natural waistline with a ruffled lace bodice and a high-necked lace collar. Thank you, Kelsey. On August 25th, 1979, Patricia Nelson and Bill Comroe were united in marriage here at Elk Creek. Pat likes to say her dress was plain, as it was all she could afford after 4 years of college. The cost was $75. Even though Pat considers the dress plain, we can see that it is very pretty and very tiny. The bodice of the dress features a cape-like collar with tiny embroidered loops encircling it. This covers a beautiful white dress that was floor length with more embroidered loops encircling the bottom of the dress. The wedding was small with about 100 guests and at the reception held at the Osseo Golf Course. And she said it was a very fun day with family and friends. Pat is here. She was the one who had the orange-colored braided cap flower girl dress. So this is her wedding dress. Pat's back there in the back, yeah. Thank you, Brissa. There's Maggie in a flower girl dress. Thank you. And if you knew Maggie, you understand this is probably torture for her. She's not a girly girl, but she's being a good sport, and I appreciate it. On April 3rd, 1982, Beth Boyer and Robert Nelson were married here at Elk Creek. Robert's sister Paula wore this dress for the wedding. This long-sleeve dress features a polyester slip with organza-like fabric overlay. It is gathered at the waist and at the cuffs. The front center of the skirt is split in two with a ruffle running down the front of the dress to a double ruffle along the bottom of the dress. This dress was made by Kay Vold of Osseo. Thank you, Maggie. 3 weeks later, on September 15th, 1979, the marriage of Lynn Kinchy and Michael Nelson happened here at Elk Creek Church. Okay. And Lynn is quite tall, so she's got heels on and it's still a little long on her. Mm-hmm. All right, I gotta find where it is. Here we go. Here we see Lynn's floor-length chiffon dress with a blouson waist, as was popular at the time. Lynn wore this hat in place of a veil, which was common in this decade. The wedding was at 2 with the reception in the church basement where the church ladies prepared the lunch, much as they did for us today. A dance was held at the Helios Room in the Allen House. Remember that at the Allen House in Osseo? Of Osseo. The band All in the Family, featuring the Klebig Band, performed. And Lynn said she cried when she said her vows while Mike was busy rolling his eyes at Pastor Thorson. Thank you. Here we have Emma and Maggie. Our Savior's Lutheran Church was the site of Marnalee and David Anderson's wedding on November 27th, 1983. Here's Marnie's floor-length flowing gown of ivory chiffon, and it has a taffeta underskirt.
She's here.
Marnie, are you here? There's Marnie. There you go. The dress features long sleeves with lace cuffs. The V-neck insert is lace covered with buttons and ivory ribbons. In addition, there is a layer of chiffon with lace capping the shoulders. The waist-length tulle veil is edged with lace. Now, Marnie's daughter, Kim Shepard, served as the flower girl in this wedding. Here we see her dress, red, white, and blue flower girl dress. The white top and red sash are of satin, while the blue skirt is chiffon over satin. Thank you, ladies. This dress from Barb Howard is a mid-1980s Bo Peep lace dress made by Flirtations, a division of Alfred Angelo. Now that would be just the cutest prom dress, wouldn't it? It was made in the USA and is a vintage 910, which would be equivalent to a modern day size 6. The innermost layer is ruffled lace, followed by ivory nylon, and the top layer is ivory polyester tiered lace. Reminds me of an old-fashioned Southern belle dress. The dress features a dropped waist, a lace and sequined embellished neckline, ruffled nylon shoulders, and a nylon back zipper. This is one of our raffle dresses. Thank you, Briley. This is our double generation one, meaning mother and daughter wore this dress, okay? Originally, the dress was worn and created by Helen Nelson when she married Gordon Ide on April 16, 1955. Yep. Okay. This was in a candlelight evening wedding service here at Elk Creek with a reception following in the church basement. Then Helen's daughter, Vicki Ide Houseman, slightly altered the dress to wear for her wedding to her husband, Scott Houseman. That wedding took place May 28, 1983, also here at Elk Creek. Vicki did have to make a new headpiece and train as the original had not survived. The dress is satin with an overlayment of lace. The collar is accented with sequins and has long lace-covered sleeves. There are seed pearls on the bodice of the dress and features a V waist. The back of the dress has 6 layers of organza ruffles and satin ribbon trim. Notice the 33 satin-covered buttons on the back of this dress. I don't know if you can see it under the veil. Can you show them? Try. There we go. Vicki also had a reception here in the church basement, just like her mother had done 28 years earlier. Thank you, Brenna. Here we have the wedding dress modeled by Aubrey and a flower girl dress by Maggie. This was created by Janelle Johnson in 1987. The white satin wedding dress has lace appliques and lace trim along the bottom. The V neckline and V waistband complement each other. The dress features puffy long sleeves, as was quite common for this era. It features a chapel-length train with a bow on the bustle. The waist-length tulle veil features silk flowers and sequins. The floor-length flower girl dress was worn by her daughter Ingrid. It features a scoop neckline accented with lace appliques, which match the waist of the dress. It has short sleeve gathered at the elbow. Ingrid also wore a matching bow in her hair. Can you show the bow? There you go. Thank you very much, ladies. Next we have Donna. Donna is wearing a dress that was worn on June 3rd, 1989 by Cheryl Padden when she married Robert Dubiel at St. Vincent de Paul's in Osseo, Minnesota. Not Osseo, Wisconsin. This white satin long sleeve dress features a lace covered bodice. There we go. She got her tallest shoes she could.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it so I can see your ruffles. They're quite pretty.
Yeah, isn't that gorgeous? Yeah. The collar frames the neck. The sleeves are lace covered with ruching, and the shoulders are poofed. It features a cathedral train with lace appliques. The skirt has a lace-covered cutout with 8 layers of satin ruffles framing the cutout. Notice the open back of the dress with the buttons at the neckline and strings of pearls cascading over the heart-shaped opening. The headpiece features the 80s look of a headband with tulle ruffles on the back and seed pearls and flower accents on the side. Thank you, Donna. Our next dress is modeled by Brenna. Lori Ringstead wore our next dress when she married Jeff Berg on September 5th, 1987 at Our Savior's Lutheran Church in Whitehall. This dress is made of satin. Oh, that's beautiful.
Let's poofy a little. There we go.
Okay. I gotta find where you are. Yeah, okay. The long, let's just back up a touch here. This dress is made of satin with a cathedral-length train embellished with lace and floral appliques. The long sleeves are poofy at the shoulder with seed pearls and floral designs. The neckline has a tulle insert with leaves accented with pearls. Lori tells us she bought this dress at the merry-go-round in Strum when they first opened. In fact, it was one of the first dresses they sold. The 1990s minimalism was a welcome respite for many after the busyness of the 80s weddings. Brides often opted for sleek silk or sheath dresses, try and say that 3 times fast, with spaghetti straps. Off the shoulder, bow-capped or Bardot style were common for sleeves in the 90s. Headbands were the headpiece of choice for many brides. Bridesmaids' outfits were all about matchy-matchy, from hairstyles to makeup to accessories. Destination weddings became popular and disposable cameras for guests to take pictures first made their appearance. I Will Always Love You and Because You Love Me were often performed at weddings. Now we have Jan and Maggie. Now this dress should look familiar to you. The next dress was worn by Stacy Lindbergh when she married Jeffrey Bouch on August 18, 1990. Stacy loved her mother's dress so much she decided to have her dress made to closely resemble it. And we saw Jan's dress earlier. It had a waist about this big.
Thank you.
So the mother is wearing the daughter's dress. Isn't that kind of cool? Yeah. This long sleeve dress is made of satin with lace and sequin appliques. The bottom of the dress has 3 layers of lace, just like her mother's did. Her headpiece was definitely one common in the 80s. It has a sequin-encrusted headband with a teardrop pearl in the front. The spray on the side has seed pearls and silk flowers. The tulle for the veil was shoulder length with a set of ruffles on top. This lovely dress is being modeled by the bride's mother, Jan Berg. The matching flower girl dress was also made to resemble both Jan and Stacy's dresses. It has satin fabric with short sleeves, a lace overlay on the top with sequins at the neckline. The skirt is adorned with 2 layers. The original dress was worn by Kelsey Dismore, the bride's niece, who is one of our models. Thank you, ladies. Yeah. This dress features ivory polyester lining, an empire waist, a sheer lace bodice, and sleeves with an ivory lace overlay. It has a chapel-length train. Notice the plunging open back. This was becoming much more popular in the 90s. Thank you, Donna. Our next dress was worn at the wedding of Jane and Ron Collette in 1993, which would be Briley's grandma. They were united in marriage at Osseo Evangelical Church. This dress is in the Victorian style, and you see it's a pale pink organza. It has a lace overlay with a double layer bolero on the shoulder, up here. It has pink lace sleeves with lace inserts down the front of the dress. It is accented with pink roses, pearl beads, and pink ribbons. Our model Briley is the granddaughter of the bride. On October 1st, 1994, Tricia Anderson was married to David Lingen here at Elk Creek. Tricia's long sleeve dress is made of candlelight colored satin with lace trimming the floor length skirt. See all the inserts? Okay. The dress is embellished with lace appliques decorated with glass gems and seed pearls on floral lace. The collar is very unique with a V shape accented with a satin ribbon with strings of pearls outlining the top and bottom. The long sleeves are created of lace which are embellished with pearls. The sleeves are capped at the wrist with fabric-covered buttons. The back of the dress has a bow on the bustle. This dress was made by Vicki Bouch of Strum. Tricia tells the story that our church had just installed its elevator right before the wedding. So apparently the bride's father thought he needed to test it. So unfortunately, Cedric, the father, and an uncle became stuck in the elevator right before the wedding. There were some pretty tense moments while a solution was found to the problem. But it all worked out okay. All right, thank you, Aubrey. They're working on the music. You find it? Okay. It is a candlelight ivory brocade with a cathedral train. It has seed pearls on the bottom of the train and 3 roses on the back. It has a square neckline with a small V on the front. The buttons down the front are pearls surrounded by gold and rhinestones. The dress has long sleeves with 4 buttons on each wrist. The cathedral-length veil is accented with pearls and attached to a bead-encrusted golden crown. The bouquet consists of ivory and pink daylilies with dusty roses mixed with ivory, gold, and blue bows. This is my actual bouquet. The matching necklace is 3 strands of pearls with a rhinestone clip. It has gold and pearl center with rhinestones that match the buttons on the dress. Notice the long sleeves and the somewhat heavy fabric. I'd gone dress shopping in December, and it was one of the coldest Decembers on record, so I thought this would be a good choice. I kind of forgot that the wedding was in July. So when the wedding rolled around in July, I was beginning to question my judgment just a little bit. Fortunately, that summer happened to be one of the coolest on record, and it turned out just fine. Thank you, Brissa. This mermaid-style dress features polyester material which mimics the look of satin. It has flowered appliques which make sequins and pearls covering the V-neck neckline and bodice, sleeves, skirt, bustle, and trains. There you go. Goodbye sleeves, hello strapless was the theme of the weddings of the 2000s. Ceremonies began moving away from churches to non-religious venues. Glamorous fabrics like satin and taffeta with jewel appliques were common. Tiaras became the headpiece of choice. Dresses were often sleek and sophisticated, favoring bling over lace. The mermaid style began to make its appearance. Colored sashes and beaded applique belts made their appearance, and traditional cakes gave way to cupcake towers. Songs such as Everything and Bless the Broken Road were often heard at weddings of the 2000s. On September 29, 2001, Paula Jean Nelson and Paul Gibson were united in marriage in an outdoor wedding on a hill overlooking her family's farm. This spaghetti strap blush-colored dress features a satin underskirt covered with a lace applique overlay accented with floral pattern. It has a satin ribbon around the bottom of the dress and a chapel-length train. Paula wore a pearl beaded gold tiara with a tulle veil accented with a matching satin ribbon. Since September can be cool for an outdoor wedding, Paula also had a matching floral patterned wrap to wear over her shoulders, should the need arise. The day was exceedingly foggy, and she nearly made the call to move the wedding to the church. But fortunately, the sun broke through, and it turned out to be a beautiful day. In May of 2002, Ingrid Johnson married Jonathan Lauterman here at Elk Creek. Since Ingrid had her dress box to protect it, we didn't want to disturb it from its protective case. The white floor-length halter top dress has a fitted bodice adorned with pink and white beading. The tulle skirt has floral appliques with white and pink roses. You can just stop there. Oh, yeah, that's fine. White and pink roses that cascade down the length of the cathedral train. Ingrid wore a jeweled headband to complement the dress and carried a bouquet of white roses with purple and mauve accents. The dress and the photos will be on display in the narthex, so you can look at them up close. Okay? This one, Tricia and Aubrey are going to bring in. Is on September 8th, 2018, Jenny McHugh married Matt Weaver at the Heritage Prairie Farm at Elburn, Illinois. It was a destination wedding to make it mutually convenient for families and everyone involved. Since Jenny had her dress preserved to protect it, we didn't want to disturb it from its protective case. The dress features a scallop lace bodice, while the skirt is made of 4 layers of dotted tulle and horizontal lines of lace. It is an A-line dress with a V-neck and an open back. It is lightweight, and when she twirled on the dance floor, it allowed the layers of tulle to be visible. On August 25, 2007, Lindsay Mortensen and Kellen Nelson were united in marriage here at Elk Creek. The white strapless ball gown wedding dress has a chapel-length train with cascading tiers of satin ruffles. Why don't you just stop there a sec, let them see the back? Okay, now you can turn around. The lace floral appliques on the train are accented with seed pearls and sequins. Yeah, a lot of this stuff, yeah. The bodice is covered with floral lace encrusted with pearls, sequins, and rhinestones. On a sad note, a few weeks before Lindsay and Kellen's had gotten engaged, her mother passed away. This meant Lindsay went wedding dress shopping with her sister. They found this dress in Woodbury, Minnesota for $600. One of Lindsay's memories of the wedding include a maid of honor, her sister, doing a karate move, which ended with a broken zipper on the maid of honor dress. Okay. The 2010s were greatly influenced by the internet, which was used to personalize many features of the wedding, including invitations, favors, and decorations. Themes began to appear for weddings as couples wanted more of their weddings to be one of a kind. Bridesmaids' dresses began to be more of a personal preference and less matchy-matchy. In fact, as long as they were the same color, bridesmaids' dresses could be spaghetti strap, A-line, strapless, didn't seem to matter. Cakes became more neutral or watercolor, or were often replaced by another type of dessert altogether. Could be cupcakes, could be pie, could be bars. Sleeves returned to the bridal ground, but the trend of the mermaid or sheath dresses remained strong. Here we have Brenna. This wedding dress was worn by Kelsey Dismore when she married Dan Pender on August 31st, 2013 at the Blair Sportsman's Club. This strapless polyester soft white dress, originally size 2, was altered to a size 0. It was purchased at David's Bridal by the bride's stepfather. It features ruching diagonally across the bodice with sequins and seed pearls in a swath down the front. That brings us to the 2020s. 2020 has brought us to the era of the coronavirus-influenced wedding. Many weddings had to be postponed, canceled, or scaled back dramatically. There we go. This champagne-colored sleeveless ball gown features an embroidered skirt and a lace illusion bodice with structured corset. The pleated skirt is constructed of 4 layers. The bottom layer is satin, followed by a layer of tulle, followed by a layer of lace. The top layer is a lavishly embroidered beaded organza. The lace illusion neckline plunging open back and hidden side pockets. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice to have? Yeah. Add a modern touch to this classic silhouette. The chapel-length train makes a dramatic, sweeping statement. Thank you, Brenna. This brings us to the end of our fashion show. We hope you have enjoyed it.